Hello and welcome to this installment of Hendricks History. Yeah, who am I kidding? This is the first installment. Yeah, who knows? Might be the last installment. Nevertheless, this week our nation is celebrating one of my favorite holidays, the 4th of July. And like many Americans, I will celebrate with my family, my best friends. We'll grill hamburgers and hot dogs and churn up some good old-fashioned homemade ice cream. Homemade ice cream. Oh, and of course, one of my favorite ways to celebrate, explosives. Yeah, we Americans sure love to blow things up, don't we? Well, thanks to the Chinese, we can get our hands on some pretty good fireworks these days. That's right, the same people that brought us cheap labor and even cheaper steel also provide us with some wonderfully loud, colorful displays of danger. I wonder if we could get some of those finger traps from them. Give them to the president, have him put them on his thumbs anytime he says, tweet. I can't tweet, can't use my thumbs. Good. So, what are we celebrating this week? Well, some will tell you that it's freedom. Others will tell you that this is our nation's birthday. And both of those are correct to an extent. But what we're actually celebrating this week is the date written at the top of one of the most important documents in American history, the Declaration of Independence. And that date, July 4th, 1776, is what appears at the top of the copy that was sent to the printer for distribution. What is interesting is that's not the date that we achieved our independence. In fact, it's not even the date that we declared our independence, because the Second Continental Congress took care of that on July 2nd. Moreover, Thomas Jefferson wrote the first draft of the Declaration a month earlier in June. The majority of signers didn't add their names until August, and the copy that was sent to the British government didn't go out until the following November. So when exactly is Independence Day? The tradition of celebrating July 4th and observing it as our Independence Day is a tradition that actually goes back almost 200 years. It's simply the date that's written at the top of the page. So let's talk about the document for just a moment. Well, the Declaration of Independence is essentially a breakup letter sent from the colonies to the British government, King George III and his Parliament. In prose much more eloquent than anything that Taylor Swift could ever come up with, the letter essentially says, "Dear British government, we are never, ever getting back together." It's not bad. Listen to this. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, that's some pretty good stuff. It might as well have read, "Dear George, it's over." In fact, it doesn't stop there. The document goes on to enumerate the list of reasons why we wanted to break up. Ouch. Kind of goes a little something like this. "Dear George, I'm sure you're a great guy and all, but I'm just not that into tyranny." Okay, that is so 17th century, and I'm totally over that. Plus, I really need to focus on myself right now. P.S. I blocked your number. Breaking up with the largest imperial power on the planet at the time was a risky activity, considered to be treason, a crime that was punishable by death, and therefore those that signed their names to the document did so with great risk to their own lives. So, what about freedom in our nation's birthday? Well, those come later. You see, it's one thing to declare something, it's something else entirely to make it so. I mean, I could declare that I'm the king of the world, but we all know that's not true. Independence, like freedom, comes at a cost, especially when you consider that major fighting had already begun in the Revolutionary War a full 15 months before declaring independence, when the first shots were fired on the Lexington Green and the Minutemen routed the British at Concord. Fighting would continue until the victory at Yorktown in 1781. Over 6.5 years of fighting, 25,000 Americans lost their lives either in battle or from disease, starvation, or exposure. The Revolutionary War did not officially end until John Jay, John Adams, and Benjamin Franklin signed the Treaty of Paris in 1783. You'd think that would be our Independence Day. In the summer of 1787, 11 years after signing the Declaration, delegates convened in the same building in Philadelphia to decide whether or not we would be a nation at all. It would take until 1790 for Rhode Island to become the 13th state to ratify the Constitution upon the promise that it would be amended with what we know as the Bill of Rights. And thus our nation was born and our freedoms ensured by a new contract with the American people. No matter the date, we still live in an independent country, and that's something to be excited about. So this week, celebrate. Grill some burgers, grill some dogs, have some homemade ice cream, blow something up, legally, of course. And remember that we are celebrating the date written on a document in which our founding fathers were bold enough to thumb their noses at the largest military and naval force on the planet. It doesn't get any more American than that. So from my family to yours, Happy Treason Day. I could declare that I am the king of the world. We all know that's not true. We reserve that title for Leonardo DiCaprio as he's standing on the bow of the Titanic a few hours before he freezes to death in the icy Atlantic. Come back to me, Jack.